Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 65th Walkley Awards for Excellence in Journalism. Wonderful to be with you. Wonderful to be with Natalie Ahmad as well. It's a bit isolated tonight, but the Walkley's all the same. It should be fun.
Absolutely. Very different to award ceremonies that we're used to, but certainly looking forward to celebrating our wonderful colleagues and this great industry.
Absolutely, Nat. And it was a year ago, with great excitement, we announced that the Walkleys would be held in Tamworth tonight. Then that little novel virus threw a spanner in the works. Around Australia tonight, nominated journalists are gathered at home, the pub, black tie optional, but to celebrate the hard work, innovation and resilience shown by our industry over the last 12 very, very demanding months. Coronavirus dependent, we hope to finally, Nat, get to Tamworth next year.
Absolutely, looking forward to that. But tonight, Nalia Diam Darug Noora. We're here on Darug country and we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians, the Wadamadagal clan of the Darug Nation, whose cultures and customs have nurtured and continue to nurture this land that we're broadcasting from. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and we of course extend that respect to the traditional custodians of all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander nations that we're broadcasting to this evening. Tonight, we celebrate quality journalism and journalists. To look back on this most challenging of reporting years, note the biggest moments in news and in Australian life, and recognise the very best of our industry.
The Walkleys have always represented the gold standard of Australian reporting, the most recognisable, the only national journalism awards in this nation. Last year, we celebrated the cohesiveness of our industry as we withstood a barrage of hostile attacks from institutions we're committed to covering accurately and fairly. This year, we've worked hard to sort truth from disinformation and misinformation, serving Australia through a black summer of national emergency and then the biggest global health emergency in a century. Never has the need for reliable, accurate, trustworthy news been clearer.
From the Gospers Mountain mega fire to the apocalyptic scenes at Malakuta and Kangaroo Island, reporters and photographers have braved the most dangerous of working conditions to keep our communities safe and informed. It took courage and skill to capture the intensity, confusion and sheer scale of this most scary and epic of Australian fire seasons. Tonight, we acknowledge vivid, brave reporting of raging infernos and choking smoke produced under supremely testing conditions, covering a summer like no other that even a global pandemic couldn't shake from our collective memories.
We were still mourning the 3 American firefighters, in fact, lost when their Hercules crashed on that fateful late January day when Health Minister Greg Hunt announced Australia's first COVID case. Weary reporting teams barely had a time to gather a smoke-free breath before coronavirus-focused Zoom news conferences became the norm. Australia and the world creaked on its axis as the pandemic ruthlessly exploited fault lines and the media worked hard to counter a disinformation epidemic. Nowhere has the virus wreaked more havoc than the United States, where our colleagues faced increasing hostility from Donald Trump and his followers as they covered the massive rolling Black Lives Matter protests and the closest presidential election since 2000. Unprecedented bushfires, cities choking in smoke, a war against coronavirus. What a year. What a hugely important 12 months for journalism. Let's take a look.
Going right to go?
Violence has flared on the streets of the US.
Queenslanders at risk.
Right here, right now, Australians dealing with some of the hardest times in their lives. The drought that has gone on for years, bushfires, recent times, COVID-19.
We are in a pandemic. It's life and death. You might forego your own safety.
Do you accept any responsibility for any breaches?
471 new cases in Victoria.
He can't answer questions about hotel quarantine because there's an inquiry.
Australia's not a
The US is in the grip of widespread...
Protesters refuse to move back. When does this violence end?
I am your president of law and order.
Down.
Tonight, an explosive year-long investigation by 60 Minutes and The Age newspaper.
I'd like to ask you some questions about branch stacking.
He's not worthy of an opportunity to resign. Sacked.
The worst bushfire crisis in the state's history.
House after house after house, gone.
The sky looking as apocalyptic as this.
Your dad was a selfless man, and he only left us because he was a hero.
Do you think the police were out to get you?
I'm the figurehead, the scapegoat.
Her estranged husband set fire to his family and their car, killing them all. Did anyone warn you were at a dangerous point?
She said to me, I was thinking it wasn't abuse because he never hit me.
It was the disaster that spread COVID-19 across Australia and around the world. Inexcusable and inexplicable mistakes.
Lying about sick passengers on board.
We have not been told a word
The
about
Australian Grand Prix has been abandoned.
Biggest decision ever made. Victoria has recorded its biggest daily jump.
Have a conversation.
No such conversation ever occurred, nor has any evidence been led to suggest that.
Now, because of a few randy security guards, we're back to square one there.
We knew the president was unpredictable.
This is a case where they're trying to steal an election.
Has lashed out.
It's a winner-takes-all play.
Let's remain calm, patient, as we count all the votes.
Joe Biden's really trying to play this cautiously.
Networks don't get to decide elections.
The Democrat becomes America's 46th president.
Let's give each other a chance and to make America respected around the world again.
After 47 hours lost in the wilderness,
Will Callahan has just been found.
Thank you to Nine for putting together that tremendous account of the year in journalism, and to all those news outlets who contributed. Journalism makes a difference. Journalism keeps us informed. Journalism keeps those tasked with keeping us safe accountable. So tonight, as we acknowledge the best of the best, let's remember the profound importance of what we do to deliver reliable information in times of crisis. Now please welcome Marina Go, Chair of the Walkley Foundation.
One of the media's crucial roles is to inform the public in times of crisis. In 2020, the crises came thick and fast. Lethal bushfires, a global pandemic, economic collapse, alleged war crimes, while perennial issues such as corruption, maladministration, cover-ups, racism, gender violence and sexual harassment continued to eat away at our social fabric. When confronting these challenges, Australians relied on accurate, up-to-the-minute reporting. Many of these stories are represented in this year's Walkley Awards for Excellence in Journalism. As Australia's only national awards scheme, the Walkleys set the gold standard for best practice journalism. The breadth of entries in the 2020 awards highlights the Walkley Foundation's commitment to celebrating journalism from all media organisations in order to strengthen our democracy. The Foundation's key objectives are to recognise great Australian journalism, to support the elevation of the craft through the professional development of journalists, and to ensure the highest standards of governance of the awards and the organisation. We also aim to engage both the media and the public in the cause of supporting ethical journalism in myriad ways. Reporting without fear or favour on issues of public importance is a pillar of a functioning democracy. This year there has been critical health reporting, including vital data journalism on the COVID-19 pandemic, including Liam Mannix's The Perfect Virus, the ABC's Coronacast and The Curve, as well as Juliet O'Brien's COVID-19.data.com. In the midst of such achievements, the closure of a large number of regional newsrooms is a step in the wrong direction. For those communities, This means that there may be no one to hold local government to account, cover courts, scrutinise business deals and celebrate sporting and other community successes. Local publications are also important in generating community spirit, and the loss of Walkley-nominated stories such as the Newcastle Herald's Right to Know campaign and the Mandurah Mail's Annette Deverell investigation would leave gaping holes in the social fabric in the future. As a former journalist who has worked with a variety of proprietors, I'm proud of the Foundation's clear purpose. The Walkley Awards are not of interest to the media industry alone. They represent speaking truth to power and demonstrate the importance of journalism to our community and its enormous public impact from the local to the national level. I would like to thank my fellow directors, Karen Percy, Lenore Taylor, Marcus Strom, Michael Yander and Adele Ferguson for their commitment. I would also like to thank Chief Executive Louisa Graham and the Walkley team for delivering an impressive year-long schedule of awards, events and programs. The Walkleys have told the stories of our nation over the past year. Just as we champion excellence in journalism, we also are committed to good governance. The Walkley Foundation is an organisation of which the whole media industry can be proud.
Thank you, Marina, and your fellow directors, who you can now see on your screens, for all your guidance. Now let's hear from the Chief Executive of the Walkley Foundation, Louisa Graham.
Well, good evening and welcome. The Walkley Foundation has a great deal to be proud of. We have adapted, putting the safety and health of our staff, journalists and stakeholders first by delivering ceremonies and events virtually in these troubled times. The Foundation remains strong and financially sound to deliver on our mission to celebrate and support great Australian journalism. And the unprecedented challenges of the last year have shown us that journalism is critical to keeping Australians accurately informed. And this year's list of finalists and winners are a testament to the outstanding journalism that is so critical to our democratic process. An essential part of our work is building a sustainable funding base to support the awards and the many programs we offer. Philanthropic contributions play a key role, and bequests such as that by our recent benefactor, June Andrews, are a powerful and enduring gift. And this kind of philanthropy does make a difference. Many media organisations, together with corporate and community partners, share our commitment to quality journalism. Your support is greatly appreciated and cannot be underestimated. And we'll feature those partners as we progress through tonight's ceremony. We are at the heart of the Australian media. We work independently and collaboratively with journalists of every type. And each year, scores of those journalists donate their valuable time to judge the awards, sit on grant and scholarship selection panels, appear in our public program of talks, or act as mentors and serve as directors or members of the advisory committees. We thank you very much for your contribution and your time. And this is the basis of the credibility and the integrity of the Walkley Foundation. In particular, I'd like to thank Marina Go, who has chaired the Foundation in 2020 with great distinction, along with her fellow directors. I also want to acknowledge the Walkley team, the staff members who go above and beyond their job to deliver the mission of this vital organisation. And you can read more about our work on our website or subscribe to our newsletter. Well, finally, congratulations to all the 2020 winners whose outstanding work is featured tonight. Well done.
Thank you, Louisa. And as Louisa mentioned, let's take a moment to acknowledge those philanthropic partners and supporters of the Walkley Foundation. From all of us, thank you for your commitment to journalism. The Walkley Foundation has been setting the national benchmark for media excellence for 65 years, and the Walkley Awards are the pinnacle of achievement for any Australian journalist. Tonight we announce the winners in 30 categories across all platforms. No matter their era, Walkley winning stories have always chronicled the nation's history, people and events. Please now welcome Lenore Taylor, Chair of the Walkley Judging Board and Editor of Guardian Australia.
This has been a shocker of a year. It has both challenged what we do and proven more starkly than ever its importance. During last summer's fires, factual information was at times the difference between life and death. Facts have been the most important tool to limit the coronavirus's spread, and our audiences have had a seemingly insatiable need for information, for the case numbers, the hospital capacities, the lockdown rules, and everything we could possibly know about the virus, everything we could tell them from epidemiologists. They wanted maps, they wanted graphs, they wanted detailed explainers. They wanted instructions about how to make masks or how to homeschool or how to cope emotionally. They clung to those best available facts and knowledge when everything else was dissolving into uncertainty. And we all worked hard to deliver those facts to our audiences, because facts are what we do. We also know that facts, fact-based debate, is under threat, from politicians all the way up to the soon-to-be former President of the United States, who dismiss any facts they don't like or that are inconvenient as fake news, and in some cases wage a deliberate campaign to crush this very foundation of our job, the once immutable idea that facts and truth should form the guardrails of civic debate and discussion, no matter your political persuasion or your point of view. That may be part of the reason that the public, our audience, has had their trust shaken in us a bit in recent years, along with many other institutions. And if we're to convince our audience of our essential role, I think we may also need to exercise a little self-reflection about whether we always check our facts enough, contextualise them enough, whether in our day-to-day reporting we always call out what is exaggerated or simply untrue, what is old news dressed up as new, what doesn't make sense, rather than just putting it in quotation marks and filing the story because the news of the day is crowding in, as it always does. But that said, I'm always heartened, if slightly overwhelmed, when I see the array of excellent reporting and writing and contention for a Walkley Award, and the evident journalistic skill and determination behind every single entry. Judging over 1,400 entries is no easy feat, and we put a great deal of time and energy into ensuring that the first round judges come from all media organisations. This year they were again supported by senior journalists Helen Daly and Simon Carrar, who helped advise on questions of eligibility and the checking of claims made in applications. The role of those two senior journalists was to provide factual advice, not to participate in the selection of finalists, and those first round judges once again reported that this was extremely helpful to them. In the second round, members of the Walkley Judging Board, which I chair, are also drawn from diverse media outlets. We meet for a full day to choose the winners. The discussion focuses solely on the merits of the entries in front of us, with workplace allegiances left at the door. After much robust discussion, we leave happy with our decisions, and we did again this year. And as always, as every year, we were careful to avoid any actual or perceived conflict of interest. Judges in both rounds always recuse themselves in the case of any professional or personal conflict of interest, and we always err on the side of caution. I'd like to thank all the judges involved in the 2020 Walkleys for their time and effort. They made time in their busy lives because they believe the Walkleys are important. I'd also like to thank the Deputy Chair of the Walkleys Judging Board, Claire Harvey, Chief Executive Louisa Graham, and the whole team from the Foundation for managing what is really an enormous task. Given the challenges that I spoke about earlier, it is more important than ever to promote and celebrate the very best of what we do. And we all know that a Walkley Award is the measure of Australian journalistic excellence. I guess that's why everyone is waiting for me to stop talking now with bated breath so that they can find out who's won. Have a great night.
Thank you, Lenore, and thank you again to all of those who have participated in the judging of the awards this year. In particular, the Walkley Judging Board, who have the unenviable task of deciding the winners. If you've been nominated as a finalist, congratulations. You've been chosen by your peers, and that's the greatest compliment that we can receive in this industry. It's a shame we can't have you here in person, but we know many of you are watching at home, awaiting the announcement of tonight's winners. Fingers crossed to you all. Good luck, and a big shout out to the finalists from The Age, who are making up for time lost during Victoria's 111-day lockdown by gathering in a pub in Melbourne to cheers on their finalists. If you're in a pub or watching elsewhere, share your photos with us at #Walkleys or tag us at Walkleys.
Absolutely. And maybe have a drink for us too. Well, now to the awards. And our first category for the 2020 Walkley Awards is Print Text News Report. And it's an early indicator that even in a year dominated by two massive stories, our industry still focused on myriad other issues important to Australians. Finalists this year broke gripping, important stories on national security and economic espionage threats, sexual harassment by a former High Court judge, and robo-debt. Gold partner Media Super supports this category. Here are the nominees for Best Print or Text News Report. Luke Henriquez Gomez, Guardian Australia. Jacqueline Maley and Kate McClymont, The Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Shari Markson and Kyla Lusikian, The Australian and The Weekend Australian. And the winner is Jacqueline Maley and Kate McClymont.
For 2 years, Jacqueline Maley and Kate McClymont investigated claims that former High Court Judge Dyson Hayden had sexually harassed 6 young female associates during his tenure. Their 3-part presentation left no stone unturned in its masterly prosecution of the facts, which unmasked a man who abused the power of his position and grossly affected the lives of others. This is journalism at its finest.
Yeah, it sure was. Gutsy journalism too from Kate and Jackie there. Now, public service journalism aims to make a difference, giving a voice to the voiceless in the community. Always one of our most hotly contested categories, judges spent many hours reading and watching entries. This year's outstanding shortlist gave sexual assault survivors a voice, showed how the mental health system fails to protect the community, and exposed an illegal, toxic waste dumping syndicate. It's a testament to the vital role journalism plays, delivering tangible public benefits to the community. This category is supported by Sydney Airport. The finalists are Nina Fennell, Kerry Warren and Laurie Yumshar-Jakian, news.com.au, the Herald Sun, Northern Territory News and the Mercury. Chris Verda-Lorgo, Samaya Ilinbi and Cameron Houston, The Age. And Elise Worthington, Leslie Robinson and John Stewart, Four Corners, ABC. And the winner is Nina Fennell, Kerry Warren and Laurie Yumshar-Jakian.
The investigative work of Nina Fennell and the Let Her Speak team held state governments to account and drove legislative change. Their work included compelling case studies that showcase the ongoing trauma caused by silencing victims through the use of the law.
Our next category recognises new and innovative ways of gathering news. And there was as much variety this year with excellent data journalism, data visualisation and interactives, plus AR, 3D and 360-degree video. News outlets responded to the bushfires and the pandemic with stunningly innovative and explanatory journalism that told the story imaginatively, effectively and with impact. Platinum partner Google News Initiative supports this award. Here are the nominees. Juliette O'Brien at covid19data.com.au, Visual Stories team, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, Dylan Welsh, Alexander Palmer, Claire Bloomer and Suzanne Dredge, ABC. And the winner is Dylan Welsh, Alexander Palmer, Claire Bloomer and Susan Dredge.
Anatomy of a Suicide Bombing was innovative to its core. Expertly using novel techniques, it made gripping material even more riveting. The interactivity gave the reader control over the pace of the storytelling, while maintaining the humanity of those involved.
Our next category is a favourite, beloved of sub-editors, splash sellers and wordsmiths, recognising the particular skills that go into enticing readers to stories. It's the Walkley for Best Headline, Caption or Hook, and this award is supported by Gold partner Qantas. Here are the nominees. Anthony DeSegli, the West Australian, Baz McAllister, the Courier Mail, and Duska Sulicic, The Age. And the winner is Anthony DeSegli.
Anthony DeSigli's body of work showed his ability to grab attention and capture the story in one perfect headline. You Had One JobKeeper was one of the best of the year, knitting together readers' astonishment at the government's $60 billion JobKeeper mistake, while The Royal, formerly known as Prince, was picked up around the world.
The next award is for feature writing over 4,000 words, requiring judges to read hundreds of thousands of words to make their selections. But what words they were. This award recognises richly compelling stories and profiles, as well as in-depth analysis and investigations. This year's must-read finalists tackled Australia's parenthood trap, the aftermath of the bushfires, and the persecution of one of our greatest Indigenous footballers. The University of Queensland supports this award. The finalists are Annabelle Crabb, Quarterly Essay, Trent Dalton, The Weekend Australian Magazine, Russell Jackson, ABC. And the winner is Russell Jackson.
Russell Jackson's captivating feature on Robert Muir turned history on its head and recast the public view of a man who had become a caricature in football folklore. Exclusive, beautifully written and undeniably newsworthy, the piece exposed a racist underbelly and told a very human story.
Yeah, very moving story. Congratulations, Russell.
Yep, congratulations indeed. Now, recognising gripping writing under 4,000 words, the Short Feature Writing Award celebrates quality storytelling in print or digital. Like the long-form Walkley, it focuses on profiles of extraordinary people and stories designed to keep you reading or scrolling for the entire weekend. This category is supported by the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Here are the nominees. Harriet Alexander, Nick Moyer, Mark Steele and Richard Lama, Sydney Morning Herald. Liam Mannix, The Age, and Sarah Walker, Australian Book Review. And the winner is Liam Mannix.
Liam Mannix's The Perfect Virus was part explainer, part investigation. Written at the start of what was rapidly becoming the story of the year, it was a standout science newspaper feature that provided a masterly description of how things worked and predicted what was to come.
Yeah, brilliant piece. Congratulations, Liam.
Well, before our next award, a look back on the year in Indigenous affairs and a warning to viewers that this package contains distressing images and may contain images and voices of deceased persons.
There have been no convictions of any police officer for killing or assaulting Aboriginal people.
This is how bullying affects a 9-year-old kid.
Clayton, no doubt we're all thinking about you, mate. I'm sorry you've had to go through what you go through, but you got a family there that are very strong and they love you, and there's a lot of people in the community that support you and love you too.
I bring in a strong message, a strong voice.
Today, I speak in my cultural truth that children who are raised under this practice deserve only love, respect, dignity and acceptance.
It's hard like a tsunami when you're told that your auntie, your beloved family has passed away on a concrete floor in a watch house in Brisbane.
that this officer doesn't have a checkered history for mine. If it certainly is complaints sustained against him, you would have to say he's had a bad day. And
it must have been one day for him. Every day is a bad day for Aboriginal people.
We're talking about near 50,000 years of human occupation in this site. Money can't buy this back. Nothing can replace what is gone now.
It all happened so fast. It's very emotional. It's heart-wrenching.
This virus could easily render communities in a state of paralysis should it ever become an issue.
Where is the safe place for this mob? Are we left out in the cold to die?
And have you been concerned about the COVID at all?
Yeah, we're staying away from people.
It only took 99 years. I'm so proud to be the first, but I'm also to acknowledge all the Indigenous finalists and Indigenous sitters for the Archibald this year.
Thank you to my colleagues at NITV for that powerful package. National Indigenous Television is a channel made by, for and about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and I'm pleased to report is now watched by more than 2 million unique viewers every month. Through us, you'll discover a channel for all Australians. Well, next is the Walkley Award for coverage of Indigenous affairs, a category this year dominated by coverage of Black Lives Matter protests and the destruction of a 46,000-year-old sacred site at Juukan Gorge. This category is supported by gold partner PwC. Here are the finalists. Stan Grant and the Four Corners team, Four Corners ABC. Annabelle Hennessy, the West Australian. Carla Walkist and Lorena Allam, Guardian Australia. And the winner is Carla Walkist and Lorena Allam.
The destruction of the Juukan Gorge rock shelters was an international scandal. Kayla Walkist and Lorena Allam's extensive coverage for Guardian Australia sparked public protest and investor outrage, helping to prompt a parliamentary inquiry.
Congratulations to Carla and also to Lorena. A deadly effort, as we say in the Indigenous community.
Indeed it was. 2020 seen great challenges for regional news organisations, more than 190 contractions in fact since January 2019, mostly occurring this year in the wake of COVID-19. But we've seen signs of hope too, with determined independent regional publishers battling the odds to keep their papers alive and their communities informed, and a wave of hyper-local startups popping up everywhere from Emerald to Narracourt. Journalists in our regions and suburbs do vital work to serve their local communities, and the Walkley for Community and Regional Affairs is for them. The judges were very impressed that every story from our finalists was deeply reported, high-impact public service, investigative journalism. It's marvellous to see such strong work in regional communities. Gold partner BHP supports this award. The nominees are Carla Hildebrandt from the Mandurah Mail, Matthew Kelly, Helen Gregory, Anita Beaumont and Donna Page, Newcastle Herald, Charlotte King, Andy Burns and the Background Briefing team, ABC. And the winner is Matthew Kelly, Helen Gregory, Anita Beaumont and Donna Page. Congrats.
The Newcastle Herald's Your Right to Know campaign came at a critical moment for journalism and the quest for transparency and accountability. Determined to shine a light on some of the darkest corners of the community, the Herald exposed a broad range of injustices and prompted much-needed change.
Well, they can say more with a few judicious swipes of their pen than reporters can do with thousands of words. Our next Walkley recognises the singular work of our most creative colleagues, cartoonists. This year saw many striking, memorable entries tackling the summer bushfires, the closure of the Uluru climb and the economic struggles of the global pandemic. This award is supported by Epson. And the finalists for Best Cartoon are Glenn Lelivre, Patreon, Jim Pavlidis, The Age, and David Rowe, The Australian Financial Review. And the winner is David Rowe.
In a dramatic and cleverly realised cartoon, David Rowe encapsulated the Prime Minister's futile attempts to redress his earlier absence from the bushfire crisis, while ridiculing his platitudes as he faced the inferno with buckets of unhelpful thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, congratulations. What a great image that is.
Yeah, such a talent. The Sports Journalism Award, speaking of talent, is about diverse skills of sports journalists and the elements that make a great sports story: tenacity, accuracy, ethics, research, and the capacity to capture the emotion of sport. The nominees are Peter Badel, Travis Main, Robert Craddock and Kate Kiriakou, the Courier Mail, Jessica Halloran and Julian Linden, the Australian and the Daily Telegraph, and Cara Meldrum Hanna, Amy Donaldson, Fred Shaw and Justin Stevens at 7:30 ABC. And the winner is Jessica Halloran and Julian Linden.
Displaying dogged tenacity, Jessica Halloran and Julian Linden pursued a compelling investigation into uncomfortable aspects of figure skating. Sparked by the tragic death of a young star, the exposé forced officials to reconsider long-standing selection policies and concussion treatment. This is great journalism.
Great journalism indeed, and sport, like every other part of our lives, Nat, so affected by this weird year that we've had.
Absolutely. And look, if you think elite sports stars have quick reflexes, spare a thought for those photographers who have to be 1/100th of a second ahead of them. Our next category recognises the stars of sports photography. Platinum partner Nikon supports this award. And the finalists are Matthew Abbott, the New York Times and Oculi, Robert Shanfloni, Getty Images, and Sam Rutten, the Daily Telegraph and the Sunday Telegraph. And the winner is Sam Rutten.
From the splattering blood to the displays of strength, Sam Rutten portrayed the drama, emotion and brutality of the UFC, producing an exceptionally detailed collection of images that speak to his knowledge of the sport.
Yeah, congratulations to Sam. They're amazing shots.
We're in an exciting new world of smart speakers, podcast charts, but over the black summer, it was the humble wireless, often battery-powered, that kept many communities informed and safe as bushfires raged. The Radio, Audio News and Current Affairs Walkley recognises the special skills required to present content for radio and digital broadcast, including interviews and podcasts. Judges seek to reward work demonstrating the best elements of audio journalism: accuracy, originality, public impact and gripping storytelling. The ABC is a Gold Walkley partner and supports this category. The nominees are Avani Diaz, Hack, Triple J, ABC, Dr. Norman Swan, Tegan Taylor and Will Ockenden, ABC, and Mark Willacy, Alexandra Bluchar and Rory Callanan, AM, ABC. And the winner is Dr. Norman Swan, Tegan Taylor and Will Ockenden. Congrats.
This is an ABC podcast.
Hello, this is CoronaCast.
From the onset of the pandemic, Dr. Norman Swan became the most trusted voice for Australians seeking honest, authoritative advice on COVID-19. Providing reliable, accurate and timely information and guidance, CoronaCast's reach and impact are significant in a year like none in living memory.
The Radio Audio Feature Award highlights longer form storytelling that uses all the best elements of audio storytelling: the intimacy of the voice, the drama and immediacy of sound. This category is supported by Tellem Media. Here are the nominees: Rachel Brown, Josie Taylor, Tim Roxburgh and Marty Peralta and the Trace Team, ABC. Nicola Harvey, Nakia Louie and Miranda Tapsell, Audible. Hedley Thomas, Slade Gibson and Peter Murphy, The Australian. And the winner is Rachel Brown, Josie Taylor, Tim Roxburgh, Marty Peralta and the Trace Team.
This is an ABC podcast.
Rachel Brown got the interview everyone wanted. Michael Agobbo. Trace the Informer allowed the whole story of Lawyer X to click into place by letting Australians hear from the woman at its very heart. An impressive piece of exclusive journalism.
Yeah, absolutely compelling listening. Congratulations to the Trace team.
The Production Award recognises the work of producers and their teams in telling stories across all media, online, on television and in the newspapers. Our three finalists dove deep into COVID data, user-generated content and data visualisation techniques. The Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas is a platinum partner and supports this category. The finalists for production are Casey Briggs, Andrew George, Ryan Curlin and Peter Matejcek, ABC. Four Corners team, Four Corners ABC, and Visual Stories team, the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. And the winner is Four Corners.
With Black Summer, the Four Corners team powerfully integrated user-generated footage with interviews from those at the front line to create a succinct but sweeping overview of the bushfire disaster. A first-class production.
In judging the scoop of the year, the judges were looking for a significant revelation with public impact. One of the toughest categories to judge this year, with three outstanding scoops: breaking the news of Scott Morrison's Hawaiian holiday, Adam Somyurek's branch stacking and Melbourne's hotel quarantine debacle. Gold partner 9 News supports this category. Here are the finalists: Samantha Maiden, The New Daily; Nick McKenzie, Joel Tozer and Sumaya Illenby, 60 Minutes, 9. And Paul Sarkle and Chloe Booker, The Age. And the winner is Samantha Maiden.
Calling into question the Prime Minister's judgment and dominating headlines for weeks, Sam Maiden showed grit and determination in the pursuit of her bushfire holiday scoop, which not only resulted in a public apology, but also helped shape the PM's hands-on response to the COVID-19 crisis.
What a scoop. Congratulations, Samantha.
Coverage of a major news event or issue recognises the very biggest stories and the ongoing work, often featuring a huge team effort. In the case this year, the work of an individual that goes into keeping audiences informed and engaged. A huge category for 2020, and it's supported by platinum partner Facebook. The nominees are ABC News and ABC Regional and Local team, Richard Baker and The Age Hotel Quarantine News team, and Stan Gorton, The Islander. And the winner is ABC News and ABC Regional and Local team.
The breadth and depth of the ABC's exceptional multi-platform coverage showed the strength of the national broadcaster during a crisis. Comprehensive, reliable and at times life-saving. It was a brilliant job. Well done.
Congratulations to the ABC. Well done. So relied upon during the crisis.
Absolutely. The Walkley Young Australian Journalist of the Year Awards celebrate the work of reporters aged 28 and under. These awards are given out each June and recognise up-and-coming journalists in multiple categories. The 2020 overall winner was Annabelle Hennessy from The West Australian for her powerful investigation, Kill or Be Killed, the incarceration of Jodie Gore. We thank John B. Fairfax and the Jib Foundation for supporting this award and his commitment to the next generation of journalists. And Annabelle was also nominated for a Walkley earlier tonight for the same work. Congratulations to Annabelle.
2020 has been a spectacularly difficult year for journalists and the media companies who employ them, with the operating environment and advertising landscape profoundly disrupted by the pandemic. From the bushfire crisis to coronavirus, with mass protests and clashes on the streets, there's rarely been a more challenging moment to be a reporter, photographer, camera operator, or a greater need for journalists and their stories.
It was a grim start to this incredible year.
Tonight, death and destruction. 7 people confirmed dead in the South Coast fires, with fears the death toll will rise.
Residents and tourists had to retreat to the water as smoke turned day into night.
The fires were more ferocious and destructive than ever before, making the challenge of covering the natural disaster all the more dangerous and important. As the smoke cleared, another crisis emerged.
Chinese doctors working in the epicentre of the COVID-19 outbreak aren't allowed to speak to the media.
COVID-19 has been one of the greatest challenges to hit modern journalism. Australia's borders closed, audiences retreated to the safety of their homes, and journalists had to quickly adapt to new ways of work.
I cover federal parliament, but I'm broadcasting to you from home as part of our efforts to stop the spread of coronavirus. And I'm not alone.
As the economy shut down, so too did the majority of advertising revenue that supports good journalism. Media outlets closed and many journalists lost their job.
The Parramatta Advertiser is one of over 100 News Corp papers which will move online. 14 others will close completely.
The pandemic spreads, and so too do the dangers for journalists.
Safely.
Oh!
Whoa!
It descended into... Yeah, a man just came up and grabbed me.
Guys, there's actually a bit of a clash with us here at the moment, and we've been trying to walk away from the danger here, but it's been following us.
Okay.
That just goes to show how dangerous it is for our reporters.
In Malaysia, Al Jazeera English reported on a government crackdown against illegal workers during COVID and had their visas cancelled.
When you look at these raids, you can't help but think, is this the practical reality of dealing with a pandemic, or is it racism?
Australia's relationship with China deteriorated in 2020 and journalists bore the brunt of the backlash. State television news anchor Chung Lei remains under home detention without charge.
I want to tell stories to others where I have a deeper understanding.
And in the wake of Chung Lei's detention, journalists for Australian outlets were rushed out of the country.
It was a complicated experience, but it's great to be here.
In Australia, a one-year police investigation into ABC and News Corp reporters was finally closed without a journalist appearing in the dock.
It is a considerable relief.
Another round of budget cuts from the federal government hit the ABC.
Up to 250 jobs across all divisions in the ABC set to go.
Media companies lobbied government to level the playing field between tech giants and content creators.
They free ride off content created by us and others and monetise it without returning any of that revenue fairly back to us.
And there are plans to force these companies to pay for journalism.
Nothing less than the future of the Australian media landscape is at stake with these changes.
A future we need to protect.
Yeah, thanks to the ABC for producing that powerful package, which vividly reminds us of the unique pressures we've all been working under this year. We must also acknowledge the role of the National Media Section of the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance as a proud trustee of the Walkley Foundation for more than 40 years. Please welcome MEAA CEO Paul Murphy.
Good evening. I'd like to pay respect to the traditional owners and custodians of the many lands on which we gather tonight, and to their elders past, present and emerging. This year of bushfire and pandemic has underlined the need for reliable, accurate and timely news. And communities have been turning to trusted outlets in increasing numbers. But at the same time, our industry has experienced a deepening crisis. In the past 8 months, 150 print and broadcast newsrooms have closed, either temporarily or for good, at the cost of at least 1,000 jobs. Large media outlets have consolidated to the bigger towns and cities. Smaller outlets that provided an essential community service have been lost. The work of many of tonight's finalists is proof of the importance of regional and local community journalism. Australia is already one of the most concentrated media markets in the world, so even greater concentration through mergers and acquisitions is not the answer. This year, MEA launched the Our Communities, Our Stories campaign to encourage regional communities to lobby politicians for support for local media. and belatedly the government has directed $50 million for public interest journalism. But that was a one-off, and more is needed for survival. A mandatory news media code, as recommended by the ACCC, will ensure the giant digital platforms pay for the news content they use. It must return revenue that can help sustain journalism. However, the draft code does need some more work. This fund cannot be for media giants alone. It must support small outlets and startups. It should encourage innovation and investment. And currently, there's no requirement in the code that funds will be used for producing news content. MEA believes any money flowing from the code must be invested in the work of staff journalists, as well as properly compensating freelance contributors. The national public broadcasters are also currently excluded, and that is unfair. But the code alone is no silver bullet. Government needs to do more to support a robust and diverse media industry. It could start by implementing recommendations from reports it has received in recent years, most recently from the ACCC, who recommended other reforms including stable and adequate funding for our public broadcasters, an annual grant fund of $50 million for local and regional journalism, and tax incentives to encourage investment in journalism. Public interest journalism is critical for our democracy. And tonight we celebrate the public interest journalism that excels in serving our communities. MEA congratulates all the finalists and winners of this year's Walkley Awards. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Paul. And the industry appreciates the work being done by the MEAA on our behalf. Now to Outstanding Contribution for Journalism. This award recognises the achievements of a person or group for outstanding or enduring commitment to the highest standards of journalism and is chosen by the Walkley directors. Previous winners have included Sue Spencer, Peter Grester, Sean Dorney and Caroline Jones. This year's winner is Ross Gittens. Ross Gittens is the guru of explanatory journalism. Arguably in the field of economics, he's also the father of the genre in Australia. For more than 40 years, Ross has made economics and public policy a must-read by making it accessible. His ability to demystify complex and technical topics to help his readers understand economics and decide whether they agree with particular policies is unparalleled. In the newsroom, his presence is felt with his signature white sneakers and generosity as a mentor of so many generations of journalists. Anyone who has been taken under Gittens' wing is snapped up by newsrooms around the country. Besides analysis, Gittens has written 10 books, including Gittenomics, Gittens' Gospel, The Economics of Just About Everything, and The Happy Economist. Let's take a look at Ross's career.
I'm Ross Gittens. I write columns about the economy for the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age.
Ross's first byline in the Sydney Morning Herald was on Saturday, March the 9th, 1974. The first paragraph read simply, "Taxation can be complicated." Since then, Ross has forged an incredible career explaining complicated issues and concepts to the Herald's readers in a way that they not only understand, but respect.
One formula I love is to knock down the conventional wisdom. I set up the conventional wisdom, I persuade everyone that what we all believe is what we should believe, and then I knock it over, and I enjoy doing that.
Something that is special about what Ross Gittens does is he humanises the economic policy debate. No one in Australia has made a contribution in this domain as well as Ross.
Ross has played a really central role in Australian journalism and politics for decades now. He's been at that intersection of taking public policies and explaining it to readers. In doing that role, in facilitating that information and explaining things to readers, he's actually helped to have better public policies in Australia.
As an editor, I can say that you hold people like me to the same standards you expect from the bureaucracy, the public service, business leaders and other institutions. Your advice to editors is sometimes frank and fearless, and while it can be direct, it always comes from a place of great intelligence and warmth.
The key lesson I've learnt is that the world is a complicated place, which is just as well for me because I get paid to explain the complications.
Ross is also incredibly committed to mentoring and educating young journalists and students at both school and university.
Last year I was reminded of your contribution after I gave a public speech. At the conclusion of the speech, a young man nervously approached me and asked if he could take a selfie and ask a question. We took the selfie and then I waited for his question, thinking maybe it was about modern monetary theory. But his question was, do you personally know Ross Kittens? When I answered yes, the look of sheer delight on the young man's face was something to behold. He said, "You're so lucky, and I wish I knew him."
Ross has said to me many times over the years, this isn't the sort of work that's going to win you a Walkley. So can I finally say, after all these years, and if only on this one occasion, Ross, you were wrong. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ross. Well done.
This is a great achievement, Ross. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ross.
Congratulations, Ross. We're all so proud of you.
For over 40 years, Ross Kittens has made a commitment to making economics and public policy not only accessible, but a must-read. And in these uncertain economic times, his razor-sharp analysis has never been more important. And thankfully for all of us, he shows no signs of slowing down. Now let's hear from the man himself, and we should mention that Catherine Wicks from the SMH was the journalist who nominated Ross for this award.
I'm grateful to receive this award, my only Walkley in 46 years in the business. I long ago accepted that my kind of journalism, explanatory journalism, was valued more highly by our readers than by my peers. Truth is, I gave up expecting any recognition. So I'm particularly grateful to Catherine Wicks, who didn't give up. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Ross. Pictures really are worth 1,000 words. Let's look at the year in images assembled from many of the entries from this year's Nikon Walkley Awards for photojournalism. And now to the award for news photography. It's all about the most dramatic still images that best capture breaking news stories. Platinum partner Nikon supports this award. Here are the nominees. Matthew Abbott, The New York Times and Oculi. Brad Fleet, The Advertiser. Jake Nowakowski, The Herald Sun. And the winner is Matthew Abbott.
For millions of people around the world, Matthew Abbott's photo became the emblem of the Australian summer bushfires. An exceptional shot that you couldn't stage, even if you tried, a standout image.
The Nikon Walkley Press Photography exhibition is touring the country in 2021, highlighting the best images of the year. These Nikon photography prizes are not Walkley Awards, but prizes administered by the Walkley Foundation on behalf of Nikon. Congratulations to the winners who were announced last month. They were James Brickwood from the Australian Financial Review magazine, winner of the Nikon Portrait Prize. The Illawarra Mercury's Sylvia Leiber, who won the Community Regional Prize. And David Gray, whose series Dealing with Drought won the Nikon Prize for Contemporary Australian Daily Life Photography. And winner of the 2020 Nikon Photo of the Year Prize, Christopher Hopkins from The Age.
And now on to the Business Journalism Award, which recognises excellence in business, economics and finance journalism. This category celebrates some of Australia's most impactful journalism, including Gold Walkley winning investigations like the Australian Financial Review's Renee Rifkin's Swiss bank scandal and ABC Four Corners' Banking Bad report, which sparked the Banking Royal Commission. This award is supported by Gold partner ING. And the finalists are Adele Ferguson, Leslie Robinson and Lauren Day, Four Corners, ABC TV and the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, 9 Network. Jared Lynch and Nick Evans, The Australian. Michael Rodden, The Australian Financial Review. And the winner is Michael Rodden.
Michael Rodden's investigation of AMP's promotion of Beau Pahari 2 years after he settled a sexual harassment claim by a female subordinate was outstanding. Rodden's thorough research not only exposed the culture at AMP, but also threw the spotlight on the board and its role, resulting in the resignations of some of the country's most powerful business figures.
Our next award is the award for feature photographic essay. Entrants have to submit between 5 and 12 images of a feature or essay, and one of those photographs must have been published on any platform. We should say that you can see all of the work of our fabulous photo finalists on display as part of the Nikon Walkley Press Photography exhibition at the New South Wales Parliament House until the middle of January. Now let's see the nominees for feature photographic essay. Just wonderful work, and now it's time to reveal the winner. The award is once again supported by Platinum partner Nikon, and the winner is Nick Moyer.
This was a masterly series, displaying the full range of Nick Moyer's impressive technical skill and 20 years' experience. Every image is breathtaking, capturing the Armageddon-like atmosphere of the firegrounds.
Yeah, just incredible work, Nick. Congrats.
Well, this next award recognises excellence in camera work in Australian news, current affairs and documentary, representing the highest standards of the craft. This award is supported by Australian Super. Here are the nominees. Adam Bavino, Today and 9 News, 9. Scott Morelli, 60 Minutes, 9. Aaron Smith, ABC TV and ABC iView. And the winner is Adam Bavino.
Adam Bavino took us with him into the chaos and rioting on the streets of Minneapolis, capturing the attackers, the victims and the police. Panning to each scene as all hell broke loose around him, Bavino produced exceptional breaking news camera work.
Minneapolis now the centre of the country.
Television news reporting recognises the teams of talented people working to bring quality news reports to air in difficult, often dangerous conditions under intense deadline pressure. It's one of the most demanding and nerve-wracking jobs in journalism. This award is supported by the Seven Network. The nominees for the TV video news reporting Walkley are Amelia Brace and Tim Myers, Sunrise, 7 News and the latest 7 Network. Alex Hart, 7 News Sydney, the 7 Network, and Chris O'Keefe, 9 News, the 9 Network. And the winner is Amelia Brace and Tim Myers.
Brave and composed, Amelia Brace and Tim Myers were a standout. Physically attacked during a live cross, Brace stayed on the air for several minutes amid the chaos, continuing to provide nuanced and incisive commentary. The pair showed courage and strong news judgment, maintaining clarity of message while under fire.
The next category is for TV and video current affairs stories less than 20 minutes. The finalists sure packed a lot into this short format, and what a varied bunch they are. SBS supports this category. The nominees are Mark Fennell, Nina Copel and Joel Stallone, The Feed, SBS. Adele Ferguson and Chris Gillett, 7:30, ABC. Dylan Welsh, Suzanne Dredge and David Maguire, ABC. And the winner is Mark Fennell, Nina Copel and Joel Stallone.
The Feed team told a beautiful story in a captivating manner, thanks to great characters, engaging music, outstanding camera work, witty editing and excellent narration. This tale of a man with a dream of creating his own museum by whatever means necessary also raises questions about who owns Australia's natural history and who has the right to create cultural spaces and institutions of knowledge.
People will see what we do.
The long-form TV and Video Current Affairs Award showcases outstanding work longer than 20 minutes. Entries recognise excellence in storytelling, investigative journalism and analysis, and what an impact these programs have made. This award is supported by 10 News First, and here are the finalists for TV and Video Current Affairs Long. Nick McKenzie, Joel Tozer and Samaya Illenby, 60 Minutes, 9 Network. Louise Milligan, Mary Fallon, Lauren Day, Four Corners, ABC. And Mark Willacy and the ABC Investigations team, Four Corners, ABC. And the winner is Nick McKenzie, Joel Tozer and Samaya Illenby.
The faceless man lifted the lid on the inner workings of the Victorian ALP, including the exploitation of unsuspecting members of the public in the pursuit of power, and the use of influence to play puppet master behind the scenes. The stunning evidence of alleged corruption and branch stacking forced the Premier to sack ministers and the Federal Labor Executive to seize control of the state party, gripping television.
Investigative journalism goes to the heart of what we should be doing as journalists. It requires tenacity, support from your editors and organisations, being prepared to upset very powerful people and a tireless determination to keep on the task. And what an outstanding group of finalists we have this year. They are Jacqueline Maley and Kate McClimate, the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, Nick McKenzie and Chris Masters, 60 Minutes, 9. Mark Willacy and the ABC Investigations Four Corners team, Four Corners, ABC. And the winner is Mark Willacy and the ABC Investigations Four Corners team.
With shocking helmet camera footage and Mark Willacy's sharp scripting and probing interviews, The Killing Field is a compelling investigation of how the rules of engagement were manipulated by one rogue SAS soldier to allegedly commit war crimes in Afghanistan.
Yeah, quite appropriate in this week particularly. Now, the next award is the closest we have to a tongue twister. Yes, it's the Walkley for commentary, analysis, opinion and critique. As always, this category attracted a competitive field with a remarkable range of entries. Linked by their coverage of a once-in-a-century event, our nominees showcase the agenda-setting power of a local newspaper's editorials, the painful insights of a frontline doctor, and the hyper-relevant historical perspectives of a columnist at the top of his game. The finalists are Nigel McNay, The Border Mail, Ranjana Srivastava, Guardian Australia, and Tony Wright, The Age. And the winner is Tony Wright.
Tony Wright's columns were superbly crafted, clearly demonstrating the power of history used well. The pieces provided an incisive perspective as Wright gently critiqued the issues in evocative prose. Filled with humanity, they were also thoroughly enjoyable.
The Documentary Award recognises excellence in documentary production that's grounded in the principles of journalism: accuracy, impact, public benefit, ethics, creativity, research and reporting, together with rigorous filmmaking. The award is supported by Platinum Partner, the New South Wales Government. The shortlisted nominees for the 2020 Walkley Documentary Award are Against Our Oath, Heather Kirkpatrick; Revelation, Sarah Ferguson, Niall Fulton and Tony Jones; Storm in a Teacup, Nia Pericles and Celia Tate. And the winner is Sarah Ferguson, Niall Fulton and Tony Jones for Revelation.
This haunting documentary broke new ground on an issue already well covered by the media and investigated by police and the Royal Commission alike. The extraordinary access to some of the Catholic Church's most notorious perpetrators of sexual abuse against children, as well as the insight it gave viewers into court proceedings, showed just how powerful journalistic documentary making can be.
Brilliant work. Congratulations to the Revelation team.
The Walkley Book Award celebrates Australian writers who take enduring subjects from news, eyewitness accounts, investigations and history. Over 40 books were entered this year. The subject matter ranged from true crime, politics and war to memoir, biography and investigative journalism. Banky Haddock Fiora support this award. This year, the shortlisted nominees are Sophie McNeill, We Can't Say We Didn't Know, ABC Books; Lucy Morris-Marr, Fallen, Allen and Unwin; and Suzanne Smith, The Altar Boys, ABC Books. And the winner is Lucy Morris-Marr for Fallen.
This compelling analysis of the trial of George Pell stood out for the sheer quality of the writing, the momentum of the story, and new insights on how power operates in Australia. Morris-Marr built context around a complex trial that grabbed global attention with clear dissection of the legal process, the media and the legacy for the Catholic Church, while weaving in her personal and often harrowing experience. A brilliant and eye-opening example of the impact of tenacious reporting.
And now the penultimate prize of our Walkley broadcast, the Nikon Walkley Press Photographer of the Year Award. This is a highly technical Walkley recognising photographers with a myriad of skills. They must submit a body of work up to 10 images encompassing any genre, demonstrating their range and self-editing skills. This is, of course, supported by Platinum Partner Nikon. And the nominees for the 2020 Nikon Walkley Press Photographer of the Year are Matthew Abbott, the New York Times and Oculi; Kate Geraghty, the Sydney Morning Herald; Nick Moyer, the Sydney Morning Herald. And the winner is Matthew Abbott.
with a body of work that highlights his light-footed approach to photography. Matthew Abbott's portfolio is breathtaking. A remarkable selection of shots that tell a compelling story.
Congratulations, Matthew, our Press Photographer of the Year.
And now it's gold, gold, gold. That's what we're celebrating now. The pinnacle of journalism, the Gold Walkley. Our winner tonight will join a very exclusive club. Some alumni include Hedley Thomas, Ron Tanberg, who have both been decorated with 2 Gold Walkleys each, and Jenny Brocky, Kate McClymont, Joanne McCarthy and Adele Ferguson, to name just a handful. Gold Walkley winning reporting has revealed the cruelty of live cattle export, uncovered sex abuse within the Catholic Church, and led to the imprisonment of the notorious butcher of Bega, gynaecologist Graham Reeves.
And last year's Gold Walkley winners, Anthony Dowsley and Patrick Harlian from the Herald Sun, with their expose on the Lawyer X Informer scandal, demonstrates the far-reaching impact that journalism can have on the police, the judiciary and politics. The winner of the Gold Walkley will receive Qantas business class flights up to the value of $10,000 and a shiny gold trophy, which will certainly turn heads at airport security. And the 2020 Gold Walkley goes to Mark Willacy and the ABC Investigations Four Corners team.
Rumours and allegations of war crimes committed by Australian Special Forces are now the subject of a wide-ranging inquiry. It's being conducted by the Inspector-General of the Australian Defence Force and headed by the New South Wales Supreme Court Judge, Paul Brereton. For almost 4 years, his inquiry has been looking into dozens of alleged incidents, an investigation that's had to penetrate the veil of secrecy around the Special Forces. So, he shot the Afghan. Did you know about this? Or
I didn't know.
You haven't seen this before?
I have not.
And do you know who those soldiers are?
I do, yeah.
And he was well held, and he's turned to his superior officer over here. He said, "Do you want me to drop this?" And he says that 3 times. In your mind, what do you make of that whole situation?
It's just a straight-up execution, really.
Four Corners tracked down a neighbour. Farmer Abdul Khalik was in a nearby field when the Australians swept in. We also found the dead man's father, who was away the day his son died. He returned immediately to bury him.
He was in a shroud. Because of my grief, I was sitting over there. I asked, "Where is he?" And they said, "He's there." I went to see. His face had wounds.
The death of the man, named Dad Muhammad, was later investigated by the Defence Force after Afghan tribal elders complained. What the ADF investigators were told by SAS soldiers and what the video shows are 2 very different things.
The judges said attempts to report on allegations of war crimes encounter extreme obstacles, yet Mark Willacy and the ABC team's unflinching investigations continue to expose alleged war crimes, suspected cover-ups and deep cultural problems within our special forces. The shocking helmet camera footage and Willacy's sharp scripting and probing interviews result in a compelling and brilliant investigation. Mark Willacy's work was outstanding, and it came after a series of investigations into war crimes in previous years, which together prompted the Brereton inquiry into war crimes. This has been one of the most significant stories of the year, so congratulations, Mark and the ABC team. This was brilliant work. Let's hear from the winner.
This is a huge honour and a wonderful surprise, and I'd like to thank the Walkley Foundation for giving me this award. This was a story a lot of Australians did not want to watch or know about. It was a story that uncovered some very disturbing behaviour by our most elite soldiers. And it showed for the first time a war crime caught on camera.
It was one of our SAS soldiers killing an unarmed, frightened Afghan man cowering on the ground. This was footage that later became evidence for the Inspector General of Defence in his groundbreaking report on war crimes. And the other thing this story revealed to the military was that some of these men alleged to have pulled the trigger were still serving in the Special Forces. This story and others I have done on alleged Australian war crimes have drawn a very mixed response. There has been praise for us shining a light into the dark corners of Afghanistan and into the dark soul of some of our military. But there's also been a lot of anger that we dared to question our most revered soldiers. Online, in emails, and even in phone calls, I've been called a traitor, unpatriotic scum, and a lot worse. And there have been threats, including from a guy who called me and said I should be shot. Now, this rubbish doesn't bother me. I'm not being brave by ignoring that, because the true courage has been shown by the SAS insiders and whistleblowers who have spoken to me and to other journalists. And it's been one of those whistleblowers, former SAS Signals intelligence officer Braden Chapman, who I want to thank above all tonight. Braden, to his personal risk, agreed to come on Four Corners to speak about the unlawful killings he witnessed in Afghanistan, as well as detail the toxic culture inside the SAS of bashings and drinking and other misdemeanours. Many other insiders who weren't identified also helped me with this story. I would also thank our team of Afghan fixers who often put their own safety at risk to get our interviews with the families of the Afghan victims. They are truly brave journalists, and a key part of the story would not have been able to be told without them. I'd like to thank the entire ABC Investigations team. We are relatively a new unit, but I think we have demonstrated the ABC's ongoing commitment to quality investigative journalism. Led by Jo Pacini, herself a highly experienced and Walkley Award-winning journalist who has been on the Afghan story for years. Thanks also to John Lyons, who's the head of long-form and investigative journalism at the ABC. He's supported this story and our team relentlessly. So too did our news director, Gavin Morris. Thanks to those who contributed to this story: Rory Callanan, my offsider, Alex Blucher, Wayne Harley, Mary Fallon, Simon Brynjolfsson, and my great mate, the peerless cinematographer, Louis Eriglu. Thanks also to Four Corners, led by Sally Neighbour and Morag Ramsey, for backing this story to the hilt and giving us a platform to tell it. Thanks as well to the digital teams at Four Corners and ABC Investigations. These stories aren't easy to tell, nor do they leave you once they're broadcast. Just ask Dan Oakes. Dan and Sam Clark broke the Afghan Files stories that pushed this yarn well along. But it came at a price for them, with the ridiculous spectre of criminal charges hanging over their heads and raids on the ABC. It was a shameful way of responding to genuine investigative journalism. Just ask Chris Masters and Nick McKenzie, who are fighting a tough defamation battle, all because they dared to dig into alleged war crimes in Afghanistan and break stories on what happened over there. It's a battle they are still fighting. The story of Australian war crimes in Afghanistan has been largely exposed by fine investigative journalism, collaborative journalism, journalism that just yesterday was vindicated by the shocking Brereton report. This is an example of why we need quality investigative journalism in this country. In summing up, I'd like to thank my family, my wife Susie and my daughters Nina, Kate and Eva, as well as my dad. They've all had to put up with my absences and the irregular hours that go with doing stories like this. I just wish my mum could have been here to see this. She would have told everyone in Toowoomba. Finally, I want to dedicate this award to the families of those left behind. Those people in Afghanistan whose family members were killed, often brutally. Victims like Dad Muhammad, that poor young Afghan man cowering in the wheat field as an SAS soldier loomed above him. It has been a privilege to tell their stories. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mark and the team and all tonight's winners. And you can read and view all of the winning stories on the Walkley's website, walkleys.com. A huge thank you, big SO as we say in the Torres Straits, for everyone watching at home, and a special mention to broadcast partner Sky News, their camera crews, editors and production staff, our production partner the ABC, the hardworking Walkley's team and all of those who support the work of the Foundation.
It's a real team effort, Nat, and like so much great journalism, thank you to everyone here for standing with us to celebrate and protect the journalism that serves our society and our democracy, as you heard so profoundly there with Mark in his acceptance speech. If you'd like to lend your support with a tax-deductible donation, you can find further info on the Foundation's website, walkleys.com. And that concludes the 65th Walkley Awards. Thank you so much for your company.
Thank you, Kieran.
It's been great to be with Nat and you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.